And welcome to my studio. I am so glad to have you here with me today. It's going to be a great one. So this is going to be, today's topic is going to be all about color mixing using a color wheel, and I'm going to be sharing with you some color wheel secrets. So let me get my phone plugged in, get that cord out of the way here. There we go. Well, if you are new to my channel, I welcome you, and if you've come back from before, welcome back. And I'm so hoping that you will join in on the chat, and if you're watching later in the upload, I hope that you'll write me a comment because I love hearing from you. So I have this little pear painting that I began earlier, and in today's video, we'll be finishing this off, and I'm going to talk about how I use the color wheel to help determine what colors are placed where on the painting. So this is just a little 5x7. It's on a stretched cotton canvas. It looks like this, just a little blick canvas panel. And what I've done is I painted an underpainting, and now I'm adding my signature Daubism texture on top. So the techniques that we talk about today are applicable whether you are painting in acrylic or oil or watercolor, if you're using colored pencils, gouache, whatever it is that you're painting with, these principles will hold true. So let's talk a little bit about the colors that we'll use today and the different things. And what I'll be doing is I'll periodically also be checking with the chat and checking in on you guys and seeing how you're doing. Love to hear from you, any comments that you might have. So the colors that I'm using today are from, these are Winsor & Newton Artisan. I like the water mixable colors. That way you don't need any, you don't have fumes, you don't need, it just smells like regular oil paint, but you don't have to use those real smelly, what is that stuff called? Turpentine, that kind of thing. You don't need any of that. Then I've also got a Cobra brand. I like this one a lot. Cobra has more oil in it, it seems, than the Artisan, but I like both. If there's a little bit too much oil, I just take a paper towel. Here you can see I was actually did that here. I had a little extra oil and just put let it soak through in a paper towel. So I've got some of these colors already laid out on the palette that we'll be working with today. So we have purple. This purple is dioxazine purple, and alizarin, permanent alizarin crimson, and then this orange is cad orange hue. And the difference between a hue and the actual color, if you sometimes might see that something is a hue, what a hue means is that means it is not the actual pigment. So cadmium, for example, is very toxic, and so I like to use the hue version of it because it's actually safer. So, and actually, you know what? Let me just pop in and check the chat and see if anyone has joined us yet. All right, who do we have? Somebody is here. Oh, we do have people here. Wonderful. Hey, Painting Sue, Steph, hello, and Madonna, my sister Madonna. Great to see you guys. Fantastic. All right, so these other colors, let's go through the other colors. This yellow is Permanent Yellow Light from Cobra. It's Royal Talons Cobra. And then this kind of wonderful turquoise color is a favorite of mine. This is Turquoise Blue from Cobra. So what I want to do first is, if you don't already own a color wheel, I encourage you to get one. If you're like me and you're working on a painting or a drawing, something like that, and you're searching for just the right color, sometimes it's hard because if you look at like you think, oh, I've got, these colors to work with. If you mix your own colors, you can come up with almost infinite amount of variations and nuances. So it's super handy to know. And what we'll do next is let me talk with you a little bit about in the color wheel part, we have, hold on a sec, I have a couple little charts here I've made up. So let me find this one here. Okay, all right, so if you look here, oh, and we see Helen Schaefer is here too. Hey Helen, my mother Helen Schaefer. And if you guys haven't already subscribed to everyone's channel, be sure to subscribe to each other's channel And then also put your, if you have Instagram, put your Instagram handle on that as well so people can find you. Okay, so there are 4 sophisticated neutrals that you can use in your artwork, and I'm going to share those with you today. And then I'm also going to share how to make tints, tones, and shades. So these sophisticated neutrals, they work for all different media. And if you add white into these neutrals that I'll be sharing with you today, you can make fantastic nuanced grays, which are really important. It's important to put grays in your work. So if you do like what I do, where I have like a lot of some colorful, bright things, the gray colors will moderate or tone it down a little bit. So let's talk first about tints, tones, and shades, and I'll be mixing some of those up with you here today. So a tint, a tone, if we look on our wheel, they talk about what a tint, a tone, and a shade is. So if I just take green, which is the pure color, and then if I add white to it, that's the color plus white, then I create a tint. If I take the pure color and then I add black to it, I create a shade. Or if I take the pure color and I add gray to it, which would be black plus white, then I get this wonderful sophisticated color here. It's called a tone. So you've got your tints, your tones, and your shades. So I will mix up some of those for you here right now, and let's go ahead and get started with that. All right, so if we get over here, let's grab, I put some colors out here also so we can mix tints, tones, and shades. So let's start out with, we've got some black and some white, and let's just get a gray mixed up. Here, this is some nice thick oil paint, and I'm mixing these here for you on a gray, it's called the Wave Gray palette, and it makes a nice neutral color that you can judge your other colors off with. All right, so let's just get this gray mixed up. This gray we will be using here today in the painting, and we'll also be using the gray when we're mixing up our tints, tones, and our shades. So let's get, okay, so that's a nice version for the gray. Get this all wiped off. So let's begin first with, let's go over here and let's start, what color you guys want to start with? Should we start with, let's start with, I've got blue first on the list. Let's start with blue. Get some of these paint tubes out of the way. There we go. Okay, so let's start first with blue. Let's take and paint some blue just here using, this is ultramarine blue. And let's just get this painted in our circle here. So this is going to be what we're calling the pure color. And if I go a little bit under or a little bit past, forgive me here if I get a little bit past, just for time's sake. All right, so there's our blue. And actually, you know what? Let me write on this. This is our pure color here. So there's our blue. Now, if we were to go in and add something, because it may be that you don't want your painting to be only just this blue. So what if we go in and if we take that same blue and if we add some white to it, and we can add as little or as much white as we like, and we go in and we mix up a lighter color. This is going to be called a tint. So let's go in and put that over here. Let's take a little of that blue. And actually, you know what? I'm going to add a little bit more white just so we can see it a little bit more. Let's get it so we can really see the difference. Okay. And also another thing too is if you are on your paint, ideally you want your paint to be very dark when it comes out of the tube. When it's darker, that means that it had more pigment in it. Okay, so here is a tint. So a tint is going to be cooler and lighter in color. All right, now let's mix up a tone. So we're going to take some of that gray that we have, And let's take our pure color blue, mix those together, and then get those on. You like when I mix colors. Yes, you are here for me, and I'm here for you, Mother, too. My mother, Helen Schaefer, and my father, Dietrich Schaefer, I hope that you follow their channel on YouTube here, but they went off to Florida. So they normally live in Cedar Rapids, and they went off to Florida, which is their winter home, and my mother is going to be doing an unboxing here anytime, so be watching out for that. Okay, so take a look at what happens if we have blue, and then we add we have our gray, and if we add a little bit more blue, I'll just add more blue to our gray. You see, we can control how blue or how gray that looks. So I'll just put some of that over here nearby so you can see that we can make a variety of different shades. If I add a little bit more white over here to our blue, you know, we have complete control over how light or how dark that is. There's part of it with the lighter color. All right, so now let's take our blue and let's go in and, oh my gosh, hey Davy, great to see you. I'm so glad that you're here, Davy. Davy is an amazing artist. If you guys aren't already subscribed to Davy, be sure to subscribe. Let's take, Davy does these like amazing detailed drawings that are done with like a scribble technique, but it's not, the scribbling is so controlled. It just starts out like a wild scribble and then gets very controlled, amazing depth. So let's now take and add a little bit of this ivory black to our blue, and we'll make what is called a shade. So let's go in, and I just did it about 50-50, roughly half black and half blue. But look at this wonderful inky dark blue that we can create with adding black to our color. All right, so now that we've done these different colors, I'm going to put some of those on my painting. Some of the ones we just mixed. So let's get a little bit of our blue. See, so we have to mix colors that we like, right? I'm going to add some of this blue, the tint. Just adding these on with the knife. And when I'm adding these colors, so this is a cooler version, cooler meaning closer with white, version than what was already on the canvas. And we'll just put these marks on here. Okay, now let's put on some of the gray that we just put in. We'll get this, and it's what I really like about mixing up tints, tones, and shades. I try and include tints, tones, and shades of colors in every painting that I do. Because, for example, the tint can seem a little bit pastelish, but the tones and the shades can just seem dark and ominous, so it's nice. Look at that wonderful dark. We can put that in the stem. There we go. Okay. But these colors can be really a lot of fun to mix up. And in fact, we can just add, for example, some of our little puddle of gray. It's always nice to put grays in your painting too. Just straight out black plus white is just a wonderful, we'll put a couple marks here. Grays are a wonderful, we'll even put one in the pear itself. We'll get a little gray there. It is hard to overdo it on gray, as long as you have some bright colors. Or if that's what you're going for, if you're going for a thing that has both bright and gray. So there we go. Okay, so now that we have done the tint, the tone, and the shade for aquamarine blue, or ultramarine, sorry, ultramarine blue, aquamarine's a gemstone. Now let's do red. Okay, I'm gonna turn this color set around here, and now here is our red. So this was our cad red hue and oil. And again, whether you're doing acrylic, watercolor, layering colored pencil, all of these principles still, I'm just gonna take a little bit, let me just stick a little bit right now on the painting of the pure color. We'll get a little bit of, I like that the feeling that these bright colors give. They're just joyful, and I feel like with pears, my pears, I always think about my pears as humans, a couple that's in love and in a loving relationship. There we go. Okay, so now that we have our red, oh, the unspeakable. Hey, welcome, the unspeakable. I'm glad that you're here. You guys are awesome. And also, put in here, if you would, if you have favorite colors that you enjoy working with, tell me your top three. Put your top three colors in the chat. If you're watching later on the upload, put your top three colors that you like to do in your artwork in a comment to me. I'd love to hear from you. So let me get this red just painted on. So here's just our pure color. Get that painted in here. And now let me show you what happens when we now take, and our color wheel will tell us. So when we did our blue, so we just did blue. This was the tint when we add white, and then a tone when we have gray, and then a black. Now this blue that we used, you can see is a different blue than what I'm doing. Look, let me turn over to the actual blue violet. So we did that. This is more of a blue. This color is more of a cerulean blue, and that's more of a phthalo blue red shade. That's kind of like this color on our wheel. So our color that we have here, ultramarine blue, is actually closer to this one. So here was the tint where we added white. Here's a tone where we have gray, and here's a shade where it's black. All right, so now on the red, here's red. So we are going to expect, here's our red. That's actually pretty close. Close to actually kind of between a red and a red-orange. But we're going to expect that when we add white, we'll get a pink. When we add gray, we should get this kind of flesh tone. And when we add black, we should get kind of a burnt red or a dark red, depending on how much or how little that we add. So let's give that a try. And, oh, I see. Let's check the chat, see what you guys are up to. Oh, well, thank you, Davy, for saying that. I appreciate you, Davy. Thank you. All right, so in a loving relationship with pears, yes. Well, the unspeakable, you know, it's important that when I'm thinking about this, I want all my love and my intent, I want that all to go into the painting. And so I think about them as people in a loving relationship. When I do my sunflower paintings, I think of them as families. A couple or a couple with a child. Okay, so Helen, you're saying your father is still lawn bowling and he'll be home shortly. Okay, Daddy will be here soon. Great, 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 great. Okay, and Davy says, you have a lawn, oh, you've got a lawn bowling club out. Yeah, my dad, Dietrich Schaefer, he's really good at it. And then they have to wear all white. When they get to a certain level, then they're expected to wear all white, like everything, shoes, hat, all that stuff is supposed to be white for the lawn bowling. And then, so 3 colors. Okay, so Steph is saying your favorites are phthalo green, magenta, and ultramarine blue. And you like to mix phthalo blue and phthalo green and white. Oh yeah, for sky. And Steph does these amazing paintings of golf courses, although she can paint anything. If you've looked at her channel, she paints flowers, landscapes, anything, but she just did this great one of Tiger Woods, a commission that she just had for a client. Okay, so here's our red. Now let's go in and let's add some white to our red. And let's see what we will get. We should get a nice, light, lovely pink. In this case, it actually has kind of a coral feeling, if you guys agree with that. Doesn't this look kind of like a beautiful coral color? But if you think about if you're painting flowers or you are doing a portrait, this could be the start of a wonderful flesh tone if you were to also add any kind of like a yellow ochre, adding some gray to it. All right, so now let's take our red and then let's add some of our gray to it. So So the gray was just the black and the white, ivory black, and the titanium white. I like to use, this is, speaking of white, when you're picking your paint, oil paint, you can pick, or acrylic in this case, you could do titanium white, which is a basic white. It's super opaque. Some people use a mixing white. I prefer the titanium because it's got it's a more powerful color. And let's see. Oh, and your man is home. Okay, we'll have Daddy join us, and that'll be great. But look at this when we add this gray to red. Look at this wonderful neutral color that we can create. I just love this color. I love what happens to red when you add either white or gray to it. All right, so next, let's mix up our red with some black. Okay, and I want to check the chat and see, let's see, I see that Madonna has something here. Okay, Madonna says that you mix a lot together, but you like cobalt blue, sap green, and raw sienna. You know, Madonna, raw sienna is not a color that I use very often. I think I should think about doing more raw sienna colors or paintings. I'll say I've always been kind of afraid. I don't know why. I've always been kind of afraid of raw sienna. That now I'm inspired. My sister from Missouri likes raw sienna. And coral. Yeah, coral is a great color, stuff. I agree. But you know what? I'm intrigued now, and I'm inspired to consider raw sienna. This is actually kind of a raw sienna color here that we're creating by adding black to our red. So in our tints, tones, and shades, when we add any color plus black, we get what's called a shade on our color wheel. So here on our color wheel, they're saying we're going to get colors that look like this. Now, again, it's going to matter how much pigment, which pigment you're using, and how much gray or how much pink you use. So here, our red, we made kind of a brick red, but in our gray, on the color wheel, they're showing more of a fleshy color. Let's see if we can get something closer to that. I'm going to add to our gray. I'm going to add a little bit because I'm curious now if we can match that color a little closer. I'm going to add to our mix that we have here, our tone. Let me add more red and let me add more white because I think that they don't have very much black in their mix. Let's see if we can get a little closer to that kind of color. Get this guy mixed up here. Okay, so yeah, so see if we add more white, we still aren't getting this kind of brown color. I don't know how they're getting that brown, but we can make it, we can really make any version of it that we like. So now that we have these colors going, let me pull the painting back over and let's add those to our couple in love over here. Let's add this to, let's start first with the tone. And again, these tones kind of come out like cotton candy, don't they? Almost have kind of a cotton candy feel when you put yellow or red plus white. And I prefer actually when you have gray with it. I feel like it's a more sophisticated color. Look at that. That's a really great, that kind of rose color that we made. We'll put a lot of that on. Let's get a mark here. And let's put one here. And I'm actually going to put it right next to the tone. Let's put the tone right next to the tint of red. And we'll get a mark there and maybe one here. There we go. And now let's go in with our shade. And let me check what you guys are saying here. So, okay, so you guys like the siennas also. And okay, so Madonna says that phthalo greens and blue are awesome too. And Davy agrees with Madonna and Steph that the colors are amazing. Yeah, and you like yellow. You know, Davy, I know on your drawings, sometimes with the dragon breath, I know you've incorporated your yellows in with your drawings. Let's get some of this wonderful dark brown color here. Let's just get this guy. It's important to have enough dark colors also in your work when you're creating a painting. Getting lights, darks, all the different colors all together. It's a lot of fun to mix the colors and experiment. We'll get one more mark. I'm going to get one more mark right down here. There we go. Okay, so yeah, don't you love that coral? I think that's so pretty. In fact, let's put just maybe one more. Let's just use a little bit more of the coral. I think that's really a great color. And I think we need one right here. There we go. Okay, so now that we've done tints, tones, and shades for ultramarine blue and cadmium red hue, it's a tongue twister. Let's now do yellow. Let's get our yellow going and see what we can create here. And so, oh, and I see we have some more visitors here to the studio. Oh my gosh, Joe Legg. Hi, good morning and good afternoon. Joe, it's I guess afternoon for you. Welcome. And Gracie Shack. Hi, you guys, and welcome. I'm so glad that you guys are here. It's wonderful. And also, I'll say that if anybody writes a comment, and if I don't, it's not that I'm missing you on purpose. I will go back and read all of your wonderful comments and in the chat later and afterwards in the upload. So I appreciate all the support that you guys show. You guys are wonderful. Oh, and Crafty Leaks is hi. Hi, Crafty Leaks. Glad to see you guys. Crafty Leaks is out, I want to say Scotland, is that right? Oh, no, Wales. Crafty Leaks is from Wales, and good to see you. So let's now mix up on our color wheel. Let's grab our color wheel and let's have it tell us what we're going to get when we take yellow. So here's our yellow. This is our Cobra Water Mixable Permanent Yellow Light. Let's see what happens, what they're going to say we're going to get if we do a tint, a tone, or a shade. So tint is when we add white, tone is when we add gray to the base color, and then shade is what happens if we add black to the pure color. So let's do that now. So here's our yellow. Get this painted in. This is just a pure color. You can also see, look how this yellow happens to be a pretty transparent color. And what that tells me is, I know that the black I'll be adding here, this ivory black is super potent. And so I know when I add the black, we'll have to add just a tiny whisper of black. All right, so, and oh my goodness, look, my father, Dietrich Schaefer, is here. You're back from lawn bowling. Hey, so Mother was talking about how your lawn bowling was going, Daddy. So tell us, how did it go, and did your team win? And let us know. So let's take our yellow while he's typing, and let's add white to that. And let's see what kind of a wonderful light color we can create. All right, isn't that a soft, pretty yellow? That's wonderful. Let's go ahead and put that in here. So this is a tint of yellow when we add just plain white. And again, these tints are going to give us kind of soft ice cream, fresh colors. When we add the gray, then here is where we make some real sophisticated neutrals when we add a gray. So let's take our yellow. And let's add a little puddle of gray to that. Now it may be that because the black that's in the gray is super potent, we'll do one version. Let's do one version where we have this color here, and then let's do another where we have just a little bit of gray. So let's take half of that and mix that in with quite a bit of yellow. And we can kind of get all different colors here. So I'm going to hold this up for you to see. Do you see the difference between when we have just a lot of the gray, and then when we add more yellow, we can make really all of these variations, these wonderful variations of just by adding black plus white to make the gray. So let's paint in this one, let's paint the bottom of it with the darker color of with the gray, and then let's do the top one here. The top part of it, you can see here. We can make some really neat graduations of color. And you had fun, but your team lost. Okay, well, you know what? That is, that's okay, Daddy. That keeps us going forward, right? That was a good team then. All right, and so, yeah, you are from Wales. Okay, Crafty Leeks, I thought you guys were from Wales. So Crafty Leeks is a mother-daughter team. And they are a lot of fun. If you haven't already subscribed to Crafty Leeks, be sure to do that. Okay, I'm going to take that yellow, and now let's mix up. So now we've mixed up our shade, our tone, our tint, and now let's do a shade. So let's take yellow plus just a tiny, look at that tiny itty bitty little bit of black, and let's mix up. I'll say that this combination of yellow plus black, I use this all the time in my painting, this particular combination, because I love this for foliage. If you add more black, then you get this some wonderful earthy, realistic greens all the way from, say, look at that dark green we could make. And then if we just mix kind of halfway between, we can get like if you're painting roses, you're painting trees, anything like that, these wonderful naturalistic greens are just really kind of great. So we'll do the middle color one here. Let's paint this color. But look what can happen when you take just your yellow and you add either gray, white, or black to your mix. You can make some wonderful colors. So now, let's add those to our painting. Let's do that now. Grab our little painting here. So I'm going to put in, first I'll put in just a little, kind of a couple touches of the pure color. So in my work, I try and avoid putting too many just colors right out of the tube. What I'm aiming for is kind of a melange of all different colors. I want the viewer, when they come up close, to see just a whole myriad of different color experiences. So let's take a little now of this is our tint. Oops, we'll get this here. So here's our tint mix. We'll get a little dollop of him going here. This technique I'm doing is called Daubism. So I developed this technique back in the year 2000, and I'm a professional artist out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And I sell my originals in art galleries, and I also do a lot of art licensing things. All right, so I like that white, yellow, white kind of color. Now let's go in and let's put in some of our grays, our tones. So the tones were these colors right through here. Let's get some of those tones going in. I'm gonna check the chat, see what you guys are up to here. Oh my goodness, hey, Diana is here. Hi, Diana, and welcome. It's good to see you. Wonderful. And yeah, the lawn bowling. So Daddy, Davey had said that he has a lawn bowling group that he watches that's nearby him, which is kind of neat. So let's get this color in here. All right. And you guys, if you haven't been already watching Diana's live streams, she has some great live streams that she does. Okay, here's our tint of green. So this was yellow plus gray. And we'll get a couple marks of that here. And I think it's important to put more, on my work, I try and do more tones than either tints or shades. Okay, so now that we have done that and we've done our mixing, I want to show you now 4 special paint combinations. And these special paint combinations are absolute favorites. and they're a lot of fun to create. So, oh, look, we have a super chat. Gracie, thank you so much. Gracie Shack, thank you. I'm going to do a special shout out for Gracie for the wonderful, what she's done is, it's called a super chat. And so it's like a special shout out kind of a thing. And Gracie, I appreciate you. And if you haven't been watching Gracie's live streams, Gracie is out of England, and she is a lot of fun and has these very animated and fun stories. Can you guys hear? There's like a little sound up there. Muffin is, I'm in the basement right now, and Muffin is crying up there. She's wanting to come down the stairs. Hey, Muffin, come on down. Muffin. We'll see if she comes down. I hope she comes down and isn't up there crying, crying at the top of the stairs. For those of you who have met Muffin, she's like 3 pounds, and she has a little bit of an issue going up and down the stairs easily. But Gracie, thank you so much, and I really appreciate you, and I appreciate that that thing. I'm just gonna grab Muffin here. Hold on, Muffin, come on, come on, Muffin, come here, Muffin. Come. So Muffin can go. I've got Muffin now. Okay, so she can go down the stairs. Here she is. Okay, there, Muffin. Muffin's entire head is up around the camera, but I'll just set her down and she can just, while we're here. Okay, so we've gone through tints, tones, and shades. All right, and let's talk about these sophisticated neutrals that you can use in your artwork. So whether it's oil, acrylic, or watercolor, layering your colored pencil, whatever it is, you can use these neutrals. And when you add white to these mixes, these special mixes, you're gonna get a fantastic gray. So here's the first one we're gonna do today, purple and orange. Yeah, Madonna, Muffin is really, she's actually she's a little bit needy right now because my husband Bill was home over Christmas holiday, and he was holding her so much, and now she is like following me everywhere. And so when I'm upstairs in my normal studio area, then she sits up in her little bed up there. But when I came down here to do the live stream, then she was feeling a little distressed. Okay, so I have prepared here for you this set of colors. So these colors, we've got our yellow from Cobra, our permanent yellow light, and then we have our turquoise blue, we've got our cad orange hue, we have permanent alizarin crimson, and we have dioxazine purple. Where are you? Dioxazine purple. Oh, here. And we have dioxazine purple. So let's mix up some of the purple and the orange. So this purple and orange combination makes the most luscious shades of brown, and if you add white to that, you can make a fantastic mauve. So let's do that now. Here's a little purple. And now let's add some orange to that. Now, I do not typically buy any brown colors, and I guess maybe, Madonna, I need to start buying some of the raw sienna. But what I usually do is I usually just mix my own using purple, dioxazine purple, and cad orange hue, or the equivalent. If I'm doing it in acrylic, I'll use like a pyrrole orange and a dioxazine purple. But look what happens if we add now more orange to this. We can make this color, which actually looks a lot like milk chocolate. Look at this kind of chocolatey color that we can make a nice warm, kind of a orange, warm orange color. There we go. And so let's add some of those to our painting. Let's actually make an even lighter version. I'll just take a little bit of this, the darker one that we mixed. And let's Let's grab a little bit more orange. I have a really large painting I'm working on upstairs in the studio. So after this, I'll be taking all this paint and using that on the painting, all these mixes. All right, so look at that kind of wonderful burnt orange color. So my mother, Helen Schaefer, we used to, when I was little, she would get, and I don't know if you guys have ever had these, they're called burnt peanuts. If you've ever had that candy, it's, they're kind of delicious looking. All right, and I'm gonna check the chat and see what you guys are up to here. All right, so Davey, you say you do have a Bowling Green close to you, and next to Saltwell Park. And Davey is out of, Davey, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that you are in England, close to Scotland, is that right? You're like on the northern part. I thought that you and Eve Harvey Art are from the same town or the same area nearby, but I thought you're in like the northern part of England. All right, and the UK is big with lawn bowling. Yeah, exactly. Okay, and Helen Schaefer says, my poor baby Muffin, you wish you're in Cedar Rapids that you can hold her. Yes, I tell you, Muffin is such a dear. Muffin's 14 years old and she's just wonderful. All right. Yeah, okay, you are from there. Mondo, hey Mondo, Mando Teresa from Sweden is here, and her boyfriend, Vind, is an amazing musician, but Mando does these beautiful portraits. She works mostly in digital art. So now that we've mixed these wonderful colors, I'm gonna go ahead and put these on our painting. So let's use this color. So this was our orange plus purple. And we'll just get these wonderful nuanced mixes here. We'll get these going on the painting. And how about a mark right there? There we go. And I'm going to take some of the pure color as well. And just trying to use a limited amount of the pure colors just because they can be really potent. And I want my work to be colorful, but I want it to also be kind of balanced. There we go. Okay, now let's also mix in, let's put in this darkest one, which is almost a black. I'm going to put some of that on the stem. And here over here. And then let's get some also in the shadow area, just for a play of color. All right, great. So the next step now is, now that I've shown you a favorite mix of mine, which is purple and orange, and then again, if you're in the chat or you're watching later in the upload, please give me your top 3 color combinations that you like to use when you're doing your artwork. What colors do you like to use? All right, so now let's do the next one. So I'm going to give you these 4 color secrets. So we've done one of them. Now the next one is purple plus yellow. So purple plus yellow makes a wonderful neutral color that is a lot like if you wear like a khaki jacket or khaki pants, something like that. Kind of just a wonderful neutral that, you know, where they say that everything goes with khaki. It's really true. So on the color wheel will show us, for example, if we were to add like yellow plus black, and it would also show us if we did yellow plus the opposite on the wheel. So here's our yellow, and the opposite on the color wheel of yellow is violet or purple. So when I take yellow and purple together, I'm gonna get a true neutral. So let me go ahead and take the yellow and let's see if it tells us what happens if we put our opposite color in. I thought it did. Let's see. Yellow. Oh, okay, yellow. There we go. So if I take yellow, here we go. So if we take this yellow, so the color that we're using, the purple that we're using, is kind of halfway between a red violet and a violet. But if we add yellow, if it's a red violet, we'll get kind of this orangey kind of a khaki color. And if we have like a pure dark, then we'll get closer to kind of like a greenish kind of a yellow. So let's do that now. but we can make kind of a yellow ochre kind of a color. And just for fun, let me take a little yellow ochre out of the tube. Whoops. Now, you know what? I just violated my rule because I normally wear gloves when I'm putting paint out of the tube because let me get my gloves on. Now my mother will tease me a little bit because I do like to wear gloves when handling the paint tube because they get this little bit of kind of gooiness around them. And let's see here. All right, so Mando, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. All right, so here's a little bit of yellow ochre just for comparison's sake. But yellow ochre is a great, I tint, or basically I tone every canvas that I have. I start out with like just a white canvas, like this, and then I'll put yellow ochre over the entire surface. Here's just a little canvas that I have that's ready to accept more paint on it. But I do that so that it creates a neutral base and that yellow ochre kind of peeks through on everything. So now that we have the yellow ochre, let's take yellow and let's mix up that color and let's see if we can get close to the yellow ochre tube color. So let's take a tiny amount of the purple because that yellow is very transparent and the purple that we're using is a super strong tinter. So let's get this color going here. And it depends what yellow you're using. So there are different yellows. So using this yellow, we can get a color like that. If I were to add a little orange to it, because some yellows are closer to orange. Let me see if I have another yellow here. I don't have another yellow here, but let me show you if I were to add a little, just a tiny bit of orange. So like if we had kind of a yellowy orange color that we started with, then do you see that we can, oh, there we go. We can get really close to this yellow ochre color. See that? I'll just hold that up there. So here's the yellow ochre out of the tube, and here's a yellow ochre color that we mixed. But I just love this, this neutral color, and because yellow and so there these on the opposites on the color wheel, because yellow is the opposite of violet. When you put yellow and violet together, you make what's called a gray. So we can make gray with, you know, black plus white, which is what we have here. But you can also make grays by mixing green and red together. You can make a gray and then add white if you want. Or you can take blue and orange and make a gray. So on the wheel, let me show you, if we have orange or like a red orange and we add blue, do you see that wonderful gray that they show that we create when you take orange plus blue? Let me show you what the wheel will say if we take red and we add that to green. So let's go over here. And so if you have green and then you add red, you get kind of this wonderful, kind of a nuanced mauve color. All right. And so, oh, and Steph has to go. Steph, thank you for being here. Great having you here. And so, Helen, you're saying you're partial to blues, reds, and yellows. And then the primaries, you have to be kidding. Those are your garden. Yeah, I know. These are gardening gloves. I buy these things and I like to use them for taking the lids off. And they're nice because you can just pop them in the wash if they get yucky. And so now that we've mixed up our yellow, our special yellow ochre color, let's apply that to our pears here, to our pear painting. And we'll get a mark over here. Let's put a mark here. And I'm allowing these colors to overlap and mix in. Now let me show you, if I were to take this color that we just mixed and add white to it, and I also want to add white to the other one. So let me grab some of the titanium white, and let's just take, for example, some of these purple and orange combos. And let me show you what a wonderful mauve color we can create. A nice pink mauve color we can create by just adding white So let's put some of that up on the canvas. Right there. I like that pink mauve color. And we'll put some there and there. And let's also put a little bit, we'll just toss a little bit out here in the shadow area too, just for some color. Okay, now let's take and let's see if what happens if we add some white to this yellow ochre color mix that we have. Let me add some white to that, and you see that we can create a wonderful, just a wonderful neutral kind of a greenish yellow color. All right. Oh, and then Daddy says, it looks like I'm painting in Alaska trying to stay warm. Well, it is a little cold in Iowa, but yeah, I don't like to get, I don't want to get the paint on my hands. The tubes seem to just have whatever it is. Acrylic paint isn't like that, but for whatever reason, it seems like that linseed oil in the linseed oil that you find in your oil paint, no matter how clean I try and keep the outside. Sometimes I'll give the outsides of the tubes a little bath, but it seems like no matter what, I tell you, it always seems like there's like a little stickiness that's on the outside of the tube. And then that stickiness tends to stay on my hands, and I don't like that. So look at, we can put this kind of nice neutral color here on our painting that we mixed up. So this was, this combination was purple, yellow, and some white. There we go. All right, so next I want to show you, so we've gone and we've done purple and orange, and we have done purple plus yellow. So, and oh, we have somebody who's just joined us here, WZ. Hi, well, is it, yeah, WZ, welcome, and glad to have you here. You came over from Eve Harvey Art. Well, welcome, and Eve is so wonderful. Eve is an awesome, she does amazing drawings. And so I welcome you, YZ, and thank you very much. And we're all a friendly group. We're one art family here. And also, any of you that are just joining, I'm going to be announcing a new challenge next week, a new art challenge. I hope that you all will participate. And so it's so much fun to see all of the different interpretations of the artwork. So we'll be giving an art prompt, and then artwork is going to be due January 31st. But I'm very excited about the next art challenge that we're going to have. So, all right. So we've done purple and yellow. So the other mix I want to show you, a special mix, is called. It's basically blue and orange can make an amazing dark, and this is a nice way to make a lot of different grays, is by adding a little bit of white to your blue. So I'm going to be using, now we could use ultramarine blue, or we could use really any blue. I'm going to use this blue, which has a lot of green in it already, this turquoise blue out of Cobra. And so YZ, so you might do the challenge, but you only post on Instagram. Well, hey, go ahead and post it on Instagram. We have a large group out on Instagram that does the art challenges just that way. So absolutely, YZ. And also, everybody put your Instagram handles if you're also active, or your Facebook handles, so everyone can find you. So on our wheel, here's blue-green. So this is a teal that we're using, or a turquoisey color. And so that's a blue-green. So if we took blue-green, and if we were adding orange to it, so we got an orange here, which is close to this orange. And so blue, green, and orange, this dark orange, are opposites on the color wheel. So when we put those together, we're going to create a grayed color. So let me show you. If you took blue and you added it to orange, look at the amazing orange plus blue on the wheel. Look at that fantastic gray that you can create. So let's make up some, and depending on the shade of orange that you use and the shade of blue that you use, you'll get different results. But let's take a little bit of this orange and let's add this to our turquoise blue. And when we do that, I've got a lot of orange in it on this version. Do you see it makes a wonderful, warm blue. Now, if we were to add now a small amount of orange, say this amount to this blue, we're going to get something that's cooler or closer to on the wheel. Colors are warm if they're closer on the blue or purple side, and cool. Colors are cool if they're closer on the blue or purple side. They're warm if they're closer to the orange and yellow side. But color temperature is always relative, or it depends on what you're looking at. So let me get our painting over here. Let's go ahead and add these new mixtures to our painting. And I'm going to check and see what you guys are up to here. Well, hey, One Mighty R here. Welcome, Mighty. I'm so glad that you're here. Mighty does these amazing drawings and has these powerful characters. Fantastic, Mighty. I'm glad that you're here. All right, so Mighty, I know that you were saying that you usually work on Fridays, so hopefully you've come home from work today and are going to be able to relax and enjoy the weekend. All right, so here is the special combination where we had the turquoise blue, the orange, a small amount of the orange, and we're just applying that here to our painting. There we go. And we'll set that there. And now let me take the super dark color that we made with, and we'll just apply that here. So these oil paintings, since this is super thick paint, it's going to be months before I can ship it to one of the galleries that represents my originals. So I have several art galleries across the United States that represent my originals. And I learned the lesson the hard way to not ship something too soon when it's oil, because I tell you, it can be a terrible mess. I'm going to add a little white, titanium white, to these mixes, and then look at this wonderful green-gray color that we can create. And let's put that on the painting. But the gray colors are so important to balance your brights. And what's neat about just mixing your own is you have complete control, because if you say like, oh, I only have, say 4 colors or only have 5 colors to work with, as long as you have black and you have white that you can also add in, you literally will have complete control over everything that you're working on. All right, so now let's add a little bit of white to the one that we made kind of just a soft blue. So you see the difference? That when we had a lot more orange, do you see that this makes almost closer to a tint, because we don't have much orange in here. But this just makes some nice bright color. We'll get that up on our pears. There we go. And you know what? Let's put a little bit just for fun. Let's just get a little bit of blue up on the fruit too. I like to try and just add a little spark in there we go. Actually, you know what? I don't like it there. Let me cover that with the orange. If you make a boo-boo, just cover it up, right? And nobody will know. See, nobody knows. All right. So, and let's check the chat and see what you guys, hey, an art adventure. Welcome, Christopher. Christopher, tell us how your move is going. You were in the States in Washington. Christopher just did his last pallet full packs. In that unboxing, they just gave like a pencil case and some pens and a little bit of paper. But Christopher is moving back to Australia. So Christopher, let us know how that is going. And Costello Doan, hey Costel, welcome. And I'm so glad you guys are all here. We are all one art family. I'm so thrilled everybody is here. This is just really a happy, happy day. All right, so we've gone through the tints, tones, and the shades. And then we have also, I've given you 3 of the color mixes, 3 of my favorite color mixes. And I want to give you the 4th favorite color mix. And this is Permanent Alizarin Crimson and Phthalo Green yellow shade. So if you are ever looking to create the darkest possible black that is also transparent, the extremely versatile black, this is your combination. This is kind of the holy grail of dark colors. It is nearly impossible to get anything darker than this combination: permanent alizarin crimson, phthalo green yellow shade. And if you do, now this is painting with very thick texture, but if you are working on say a portrait or landscape, whatever it is, and you are looking for transparency, then this combination is really helpful and nice to have. So I'm going to have to don my gloves again because I don't have my phthalo green yellow shade. I don't have that out of the tube yet. So let me just grab, here, I'm going to grab it. I need to open this up and get some out on our palette. Okay, now I'm not going to wear my gloves here because this is just coming right out of the box, but also when you first squeeze, when you first open a new thing, sometimes they have a little bit of extra oil or linseed oil coming out of the top. So oftentimes I'll just do this over a paper towel and capture. So this one does not have a lot of extra. So, all right, so we'll get our green. This is our phthalo green yellow shade. So phthalo green you can also get with a red shade. And you know what? I just said that about the tube, and it actually does have a little, sadly it had a little stickiness on it. Okay. All right, and then I'm also going to take permanent alizarin crimson. So alizarin crimson can be what they call a fugitive shade, which means that it can disappear. The permanent alizarin crimson is what you want. So if I mix equal amounts of the two colors, and then I'll show you what happens if you make more of one, less of the other. So here's where we have more permanent alizarin crimson. And you can see we get kind of like a dark cranberry color. And again, these are just super transparent colors, so they will, if I add just a small amount of alizarin crimson, then we're going to get something that you can see is tending over towards the green side. And these colors, this is the mix that you want if you want to go almost black, is you're going to be the darkest color you can get. So let me take now, if I did alizarin crimson, kind of equal amounts of alizarin crimson and phthalo green red shade. Oh, come on over here, guy. Okay, so this is the mix that you want if you want the darkest black that you can create. And you have to kind of just play with your amount of your ratio. Now I can see I still have it too close to cranberry, so I'm going to add some of the other green. Let's mix some of these together until we can get something. There we go. We want it to have kind of a purplish residue. There we are. So this black that we created is blacker than ivory black. So here is ivory black from, and look, if you look on the, here on my palette, that's ivory black. And then here is the black that we created with the combination of permanent alizarin crimson and the phthalo blue green shade. Now the black is not transparent at all. It is very opaque. So for those of you who care about opaque versus transparent, this is the way to go here if you're looking for transparency. So now let's go in, and I'm going to check the chat and then see what you guys are up to. So Christopher, you're saying that you'll be in the U.S. until the end of January, and you're doing everything with moving. Yeah, isn't that frustrating? So, oh, thank you for saying that, Christopher. I try. And hey, Alina Arts is here. Welcome, Alina. Good to have you here. Okay, so everybody give Alina a quick hello. She's a wonderful artist. Alina does, she just did a wonderful painting with bamboo. It was like banana leaves, actually, banana leaves. But I'm just gonna get a couple touches of this black here. And we'll put a little bit on the stem. But what I want to show you is what happens if you now take these colors and add white. So let me grab a little dollop of white. And if I take that new color that we just made, which was the permanent alizarin crimson, and if I add white, then I can make these wonderful subtle gray colors. So let's add a little bit more of the color. And it makes a kind of a purpley gray or a very light mauvey gray. And let me compare that, for example, if I just took our black, that's just our ivory black and white, then you can see that we make kind of more like a, I guess what we would call like a true gray. Okay. Oh, and Helen, yeah, Mother, exactly. This combination is a really interesting combination. When you compare what you can do with just white and black, you can get this kind of just regular generic gray, but you can create these wonderful, this color. My daughter-in-law Mallory loves this kind of old-fashioned mauve color that's a very in color right now. But I'm gonna go ahead and put some of this color now here up on our painting. So these are, let's get this tipped over here. So these are the new colors that we just mixed up. So this is our phthalo blue, yellow, phthalo green, yellow shade, plus permanent alizarin crimson plus white is making this just wonderful nuanced gray color that we can use here in our shadows. And get a little mark right there, we go. All right, and I'll take a lighter version. Let's add a little lighter version of that. See if we can get some of that here. Oh yeah, we can put some of that here. And let's get a mark right there. So when you're making your own paintings, you're gonna have your own idea of how much color you wanna put on, how much color you don't want. I'll color that pink there. And we'll also just put the black and the white that we just mixed up. We'll get that here. You can see the contrast of I like to have a mix of warm and cool colors whenever possible in my work. And there we go. All right, so we've gone through all of those, and now just want to ask if you need a color wheel or if you need any art supplies. I'm an Amazon influencer, and so I have all of my art supplies that I use are in one convenient list, and that's everything from, you know, like tube ringers, paintbrushes, watercolor oil, easels, like these pads that I use here for painting, the gray wave palette pads, color wheels. You can get all of these things out here on Amazon. You do have to type it all the way in. You can't go to Amazon and then search. You have to actually type it in all the way like that. So if you need anything, I appreciate it. I receive compensation from Amazon, but it's no additional cost to you. And so if you guys have any questions, I appreciate that you guys are here. And when I see, hey, Max Joji is here too. Thank you so much for joining, Max Joji. And you guys, I appreciate that you all are here. And if I've missed any of your comments, I will be checking back in the chat, and I really am so happy that you are part of our art family. So until next time, this is Dena Tollefson, and all my best to you. Bye-bye.